Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. So the midfielders and wingers that Manchester United could sign. Now, Marcos Llorente, we've recently been linked with him. Now, Atletico Madrid have set their price for Manchester United to sign Marcos Llorente. We have to pay his entire 103 million release clause because Atletico Madrid are not willing to sell him for a cut price fee. Now, reports said from Spain on Friday that we made an offer of 68.5 million for Marcos Llorente, and it says we was prepared to double his £90,000 a week wages. But he said a move is unlikely. Now, Marcos Llorente can play as a midfielder and a second striker. Atletico Madrid paid £35 million for him from Real Madrid. He's got a contract with Atletico Madrid until 2024. He did endure 11 years at Real Madrid before he went to Atletico. He also had a loan spell with Alaves. And he is the age of 26, so he's still in his prime and he's got a lot of development in him. Saul Niguez, he's also been on our agenda. Declan Rice, I'd certainly take him at Manchester United. Now, Declan Rice is valued at £80 million. And it said not so long ago that Solskjaer had agreed with our recruitment team that Declan Rice would be the perfect signing for the club. Now, he was relentlessly linked with a move to Chelsea last year. That's obviously when Frank Lampard was Chelsea manager. You know, Frank Lampard was infuriated when he missed out on him because he was Frank Lampard's top target. But Declan Rice, I'd certainly take him at Manchester United because he's still young, he's got a lot of development in him, he's well proven in the Premier League, and he dramatically improves. Now, Declan Rice has been at West Ham for 7 years. He's got a contract with West Ham until 2024. Before he was at West Ham, he was at Chelsea. He was in their youth setup for a long time, but he never got in their first team. Now, Ousmane Dembele from Barcelona. Reports are coming out regarding him. Now, apparently, we've increased our interest in Ousmane Dembele. We've been monitoring his displays this season. Now, we was looking to get Ousmane Dembele on loan with an option to buy. Ousmane Dembele is valued at around €50 million. He's got 15 months left on his current contract at Barcelona. Now, Ousmane Dembele has been at Barcelona for quite a few years. Barcelona got him in a deal worth £135 million from Dortmund back in 2017. Yeah, he's under contract with Barcelona, until 2022. He sustained quite a few injuries at Barcelona. Now, Ismail Assar, we have been linked with him before. Jadon Sancho, you know, we've been linked with him. Do you still think there's a chance that Man United will sign him in the summer transfer window? Jadon Sancho was our number one priority target last summer. But the main explanation we didn't get him is because we was reluctant to meet Borussia Dortmund's £108 million valuation. We was only willing to pay so much up front. He said a few times last summer that the personal terms had been agreed, the agent fees had been agreed, and even a contract had been agreed. But we couldn't come to an agreement on an actual fee, and Fabrizio Romano, he's spoken a lot about the Jadon Sancho transfer saga, and so too has Bild's Christian Falk. Now, Dortmund made it clear to us last summer that we had until the 10th of August to sign the player. We obviously missed out on that deadline, so Sancho remained at Borussia Dortmund. Now, it said earlier on this season that Dortmund had reduced their asking price for Sancho to £88 million. He said earlier on this season we dropped our interest in Sancho due to the progress of Mason Greenwood. Earlier on this season he made an admission saying that he has enjoyed a difficult season at Dortmund, but analysing the vast majority of his career at Dortmund, he's been very consistent. This is his 4th season at Borussia Dortmund. He's got a contract with them until 2023. Dortmund paid just £8 million for him from Man City back in 2017. He enjoyed a couple of years at Man City but never really got enough opportunities, so that's why he left. And before he was at sea, he was at Watford. He was at Watford from the age of 7 to the age of 14. And we was willing to offer him that number 7 shirt. Now, Pedro Neto, he's also been on our agenda from Wolves. He said the other week that we was eyeing a £50 million plus move for Pedro Neto. We are seeing him as an alternative to Sancho. Now, we did have a trial at Carrington back in 2016, but he wasn't impressive enough. So obviously we didn't get him. His performances for Wolves have been good. Wolves paid £18 million for him from Lazio. He's got a contract with Wolves until 2025. He's predominantly a right winger, only the age of 21, so still young. So would you take him at Manchester United? So yeah, they are the midfielders and right wingers that Manchester United could possibly sign. Now, there has been some strikers on our agenda. Earlier on today, I give you the news on Harry Kane. Harry Kane has dealt Tottenham a major blow. Harry Kane has refused to commit his future to the club, and he's delaying his transfer decision until after the Euros. Now, David Ornstein was recently talking about Harry Kane, and he spoke to people and he said that Harry Kane wants to leave. He said he's committed whilst he's at Tottenham, but he wants to win trophies, and obviously he hasn't been experiencing this at Tottenham. Obviously Man United and Man City want him because we're both in search for a number 9. But Harry Kane is unhappy at Tottenham. Harry Kane is valued at £150 million. But Harry Kane is regarded as one of the best strikers in the world. He's a prolific goal scorer, his link-up play is very good, he's won the Golden Boot a couple of times. He has been at Tottenham for 17 years. He's been in their senior squad since 2009. He's made around 234 appearances in the Premier League and he's scored 160 goals. He's got a contract with Tottenham until 2024 and he's on around £200,000 a week. Harry Kane has had a few loan spells as well, with Leyton Orient, Millwall, Norwich and Leicester. And Erling Haaland, he's been another striker on our agenda. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would love to sign Erling Haaland. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has worked with Haaland because Solskjaer gave Haaland his debut at just the age of 16 at Molde. And back in December 2019, Solskjaer and Woodward went to Norway to meet up with Erling Haaland to negotiate a possible move to Man United. Earlier on this season, Ollie said he was following Erling Haaland's progress and he said he's keeping in touch with Erling Haaland. And Solskjaer keeps calling Erling Haaland to persuade him to join Manchester United. Erling Haaland's father has spoken about his son's career and his prospects, and he's actually advised him to join Manchester City, but he's spoken about his son's transfer links to Man United before. But there's a good chance Haaland will leave in the summer transfer window, especially if Dortmund fail to qualify for the Champions League. Dortmund have revealed their asking price for Haaland. It's £154 million. Dortmund are going to find it extremely difficult to sell Haaland if they are demanding that much. Haaland does have a £68 million release clause, but it doesn't become active until next year. But yeah, since his arrival at Dortmund, he has been a revelation. He's been at Dortmund over the year. Dortmund paid just £17 million for Haaland, and he's got a contract with Dortmund until 2024. And there has been quite a few centre-halves on our agenda. You obviously know the news on Pau Torres from Villarreal. You know the news on Rafael Varane from Real Madrid. There's been a lot of narratives coming out regarding him. You know the news on Jules Koundé from Sevilla. But I'm expecting Man United to make around 3 or 4 signings in the summer transfer window. I reckon Solskjaer needs at least £200 million to get the players he wants to recommend in. Now, it said earlier on this season that our transfer budget had been revealed and it was £80 million. A lot of United fans were shocked in that aspect because we know £80 million is nowhere near enough for us to get the players we want to recommend in. But obviously we're going to sell players in the summer transfer window, so in that aspect we are going to generate money and it's going to help us with our rebuilding process. But I've already identified the weaknesses in our squad. This year's summer transfer window is huge for Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think there's a good chance that Solskjaer will get the backing he deserves. Because obviously Woodward has come out several times to show his support for Ollie, and he did say towards the end of last year that he will back him with a long-term plan centred around summer transfer windows, and even enjoying them bad periods, he assured Solskjaer's job was safe and recently said that he believes that Solskjaer's the right man to lead the club forward. And he released a statement earlier on this season saying that the progress by Solskjaer and the players this season is clear. And obviously we've got John Murtough as our director of football. It was the right decision by Manchester United to get a director of football in, because I said that's one of the structural changes that we needed at the club. And John Murtough knows the club inside out because he's been at Man United since 2014. And Darren Fletcher, he's our technical director. You know, he knows the club through thick and thin. He endured 2 decades as a player for Manchester United, and Solskjaer's already had the transfer summit with our new recruitment team. You know, he's discussed our transfer targets and he's discussed our transfer plans for the summer in general. But yeah, we are going to sell quite a few players in the summer transfer window. Like I've said, there's a good chance that Edison Cavani will leave the club. There's a good chance that Juan Mata's going to go. A lot of United fans are saying that we need to sell Anthony Martial in the summer transfer window because he has been out of form for the vast majority of this season. Donny van der Beek, I think there's a good chance he's going to leave. Pogba could still leave. I think there's a good chance we'll sell Matic. Will we sell Fred? Phil Jones, I want him to go. I think Romero's going to go. De Gea, there's also a good chance that we'll sell him. Will Man United sell Eric Bailly? And I think we'll be looking to get rid of Diego Dalot permanently. Now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer needs to win a trophy as Manchester United manager. He has not yet won a trophy as Man United manager. We haven't won a trophy since 2017, and we know that's nowhere near good enough to our standards. A club of our stature need to be winning trophies. Our only chance of a trophy this season is the Europa League. Solskjaer did say not so long ago that winning trophies is an ego thing. And he said that in regards to some other clubs and some other managers. And he said clubs like Man United, trophies no longer prove success. But if we don't win the Europa League this season, Solskjaer is not going to get sacked. So I can assure you will be Man United manager in the summer transfer window and he'll be Man United manager next season. But I can assure he isn't the long-term manager for Manchester United. Solskjaer has agreed to sign a new 3-year contract worth 30 million. Sources at Old Trafford said though a few weeks ago that talks were set to begin any day on the new deal because Solskjaer has now into the final year of his current 3-year contract. Does he deserve a new contract? In some aspects, yeah. In some aspects, no. Because there's a lot of Man United fans that are demanding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out of the club. Not so long ago, Ole outs were trending on social media after our 3-1 defeat to Leicester in the FA Cup quarter-final. Obviously, the Ole outs have got main explanations why they want him out of the club, and I obviously have my concerns about him. But he has been Manchester United manager over 2 years. Reflecting now on his being at the football club, he has gained some managerial experience and he has learnt quite a bit on the job. Before he was with us, he was at Molde. He won a few Norwegian titles at Molde, but they're not a big club. And before he was at Molde, he was at Cardiff, and his record at Cardiff was absolutely disastrous. He only enjoyed a short tenure with them. He got sacked from Cardiff, because he got them relegated. Ole did manage the Man United reserve team for a couple of years, so he watched some of this team grow and develop. But to be honest with you, if we eventually sacked Solskjaer, I don't think it'd really solve much, because when we have been inconsistent, not all of the blame has stemmed from him. It's never all the manager's fault. But the main explanation why Solskjaer is still Manchester United manager is because he is a club legend. And that's what saved him. I think disregarding being a club legend, I'm almost certain he wouldn't have been Manchester United manager now. But you've got to say he is the best manager since Ferguson. I can assure we will finish in the top 4 this season. I assured that after our 1-0 win against West Ham. I've already said to you, if we can finish second in the league this season, and if we can win the Europa League, I'll turn around and say, yeah, that represents a good season for Man United, and that gives us something to build on going on into next season. Solskjaer will not lead us to a Premier League title. We haven't won the Premier League since 2013, so that's 8 years ago now. But nothing's changed at Man United in the last 8 years. It's just been an ongoing cycle of inconsistency. We've had different managers with different philosophies. We've sacked 3 managers since Ferguson, and that was David Moyes. We sacked him after 10 months. He's the worst manager we've ever had. We sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years, despite him winning the FA Cup. And we sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years, despite him winning 3 trophies. Won the Europa League, the League Cup and the Community Shield. Also got a second place finish. I think that was in his first season. So you can say Mourinho had one good season, but the main explanations it didn't work out under Mourinho is because he had bad disputes with the board, bad disputes with the top players, and in general the board weren't backing the signings that he wanted to recommend in. So Ollie's our 4th permanent manager since Ferguson. We spent over £1 billion on players in the last 8 years, and we've brought a good 37 players in since Ferguson retired. But the board has been one of the biggest issues at the club for a while, reflecting how poor our recruitment policy's been. We've also overpaid for players. And in general, the managers that we've had since Ferguson retired haven't got the players that they wanted to recommend in. And mistakes have been made in the last 8 years, and that's why we haven't been as consistent as we'd like to have been. But we haven't been the same team since Ferguson retired, and like I've said time and time again, no one is going to replicate what Ferguson did at the club. Ferguson enjoyed a 26-27 year tenure, so he was a long-serving manager, won 30 odd trophies, so he brought success to the club. But he didn't settle in straight away because he didn't win out in his first 4 years at Manchester United, and good job he didn't get sacked any time in that 4-year period because we wouldn't have had hardly any success. But Ole, he knew when he'd taken over at Man United it was going to be a massive job, despite him knowing the club inside out. And I think he's in a position that he shouldn't be really in. But you can probably say that we'll give him the job too soon. Maybe we should have waited until the end of that particular season to decide or not whether to give him the job. But we'll give him the job permanently because he did very, very well as the interim manager. He won 14 games out of 19 in all competitions, so that's why the club decided to give him the job permanently 2 years ago. But we've got to credit him in quite a few aspects. We are second in the Premier League. At one point he got us top of the Premier League, to his credit. That's when we was in the title race. Got us to the FA Cup quarters, got us to the Europa League quarter-finals, got us to the EFL Cup semi-final this season, lost 2-0 to Man City. Made some good signings since he's come in. He's spent almost £300 million, and so far he's enjoyed 4 transfer windows as permanent Man United manager. Also got rid of a lot of players since he's come in. Did well last season in his first full season at the club. Guided us to 3 semi-finals, got us qualification for the Champions League and got us a 3rd place finish. Also went on the 19-game unbeaten run in all competitions last season. It's 14 unbeaten in the Premier League. And he's promoted the youth well, and we have enjoyed very, very good periods under him where we have seen consistency, and in some of them good periods he has got the best out of the team and he's improved certain players. So you can credit him in them aspects. But Ole, as a manager, doesn't have that big club arrogance. He doesn't have a proven pedigree. And his decision-making concerns me as well, because in the vast majority of the games he's managed at Man United, he has been tactically naive, especially in a lot of the big games this season. But there's been some games where he's showed tactical flexibility, but he's got to show that persistently. But I do think these are very, very good players at Manchester United. And these players that are really, really improved. Our 2 best players by far this season have been Luke Shaw and Bruno Fernandes, definitely. Bailly, he's done well in some of the games he's played in. Maguire, he's done well in some of the games he's played in. Dean Henderson, he's done very, very well in the games he's been involved in this season. I think Dean Henderson should now be our #1 goalkeeper because he's reliable enough to become our #1 and he's got that experience behind him. And Wan-Bissaka, he's done well in some games this season. Fred's done well in some games this season. Paul Pogba, we've been getting the best out of him in recent months. And I think it's very imperative that we keep him potentially past the summer. Scott McTominay's a decent player, but he's not at that level as I want him to be as yet. Donny van de Beek's a good player, but we don't play him enough. Bruno Fernandes, he's an exceptional player, like I've said. Mason Greenwood, he's been fantastic since he broke into our first team squad. Marcus Rashford's good, but he does enjoy his bad period. Edison Cavani, he's made a fantastic impact since he's come in. And Martial can do well when he wants to, but hasn't really shown that this season. These quite a few players that don't get in our 11. Brandon Williams doesn't get in our 11. Should we loan him out? Phil Jones doesn't get in our 11. Axel Tuanzebe doesn't get in our 11. Alex Telles doesn't get in our 11. Donny van de Beek, he hardly plays, like I've already said. Juan Mata doesn't get in our 11. So there you go. Anyway guys, I will be on with more videos tomorrow. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.